It's time for The Newsmaker, in which a fearless commentator speaks out on the big stories of the day. And tonight's Newsmaker is America's psychiatrist, Dr. Carole Lieberman. And Carole, let's have a look at this. Another day, another embarrassing howler from the leader of the free world, Joe Biden, who doesn't seem to have got the memo that our late Queen is no longer with us. Take a listen to this.
And if you can see the camera, they can see you. And it's the least consequential part of this whole meeting for you, I promise. All right? God save the Queen, man.
I'm afraid he's got form on this. Here are one or two other of Joe Biden's greatest hits.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband. And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip. I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream. By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. God. See this tie I have with a shamrock on it? This was given to me by one of these guys right here. It was a hell of a rugby player, and they beat the hell out of the Black and Tans. Oh, God, it was
There you go, the Black and Tans, a British military police force from the 1930s, not a rugby team. Well, Dr. Carole Lieberman, these gaffes are happening on an almost daily basis. What's your diagnosis?
Well, as you know, I diagnosed Biden when he was running the first time with encroaching dementia. And as we see, it has been encroaching ever more since then. It's really an embarrassment. It's a danger to America and to other countries who depend upon us. You know, it's not funny anymore. It's not just a gaffe. It's just ridiculous.
And do you see his decline being a steep one, or are his symptoms quite static? Could he stumble on for a few more years?
Literally stumble on. I don't think a few more years. No. You know, maybe it's because we're seeing him more. He's trying to get out there more instead of being in his basement. But it does seem to have been increasing in the last year, certainly. And, you know, I think also we're paying more attention to it because he announced that he's going to run for president again.
Who cares, though, Carole, if he's not articulate, as long as he makes the right decisions? There's no evidence that somehow he's lacking the correct intellectual instincts. It's just that he can't finish a sentence. Does that matter?
No, that's not true. There are indications that he's not thinking properly. I mean, you know, the biggest example is the debacle of Afghanistan when the Taliban didn't do what he was expecting them to do. He couldn't then do a plan B or a plan. He was just totally, you know, like a deer in headlights. So, and there are more things after that. Of course, as I said the last time I was on, and it seemed to be like a shocking revelation, I was saying that it's Obama who's running the White House. And I kind of think, you know, I've been thinking about this more as he's still planning to run, that even though he is making all these gaffes, you know, they are still propping him up because they have this perfect setup going where, you know, Obama pulls the strings. He does whatever Obama says. It doesn't matter to them whether how demented he is.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump would like to replace him in the White House, Dr. Carole. What's your professional appraisal of his mental well-being at the moment?
Well, of course, he's has to be, you know, very disappointed, angry, and so on about all of these charges that have been brought against him, which are absolutely absurd because the president is supposed to have, there's a law about this, that the president is supposed to have control over what he decides are the documents that he can keep and that are classified. So this whole thing is really based on a wrong premise, and yet it's going forward. So clearly that has to be worrisome. But he gave a really good speech after the day that he was arraigned, and from his golf club in New Jersey. And it was strength under fire. Now, you know, is he really feeling that strong? Or, I mean, it has to be getting to him to some degree, but he's it's the care that he has, or the determination that he has to take care of America, to make America great again, that keeps him going, even though it is a personal attack.
Indeed. Now, with Harry and Meghan's Spotify deal over, what do you make of the comments allegedly made by a Spotify executive calling the couple grifters?
I think it's right on. What they are realizing, and, they're being faced in this shocking kind of way, it's all of a sudden hitting them, that people expect more than just their titles, which they have less of now anyway, but their connection to the royal family. And, they've overstated that. I mean, they've overdone their criticism of the royal family and all of that. But that's not enough. Meghan probably thought that she didn't really have to work very hard when she did her podcast, that, I can talk about whatever I want, just have these conversations with celebrities and people are going to tune in because I'm Meghan Markle. Well, clearly that isn't true. And they didn't get the fact that they actually have to show some talent and some thought and some work into whatever it is that they're doing. So, and now they are realizing that, but I don't know that they really can do anything about it, that there's a there. There doesn't seem like there's any there, besides criticizing the royal family.
And Carole, given that you're America's psychiatrist, you've helped many couples with relationship issues. What is your view of the state of their marriage, Harry and Meghan?
There have been nails in the coffin of their marriage coming almost fast and furious. These last 6 months, they're not invited to the king's birthday celebration. That's a pretty dramatic, statement. If they're trying to make their money on the connection to the royal family and they're not even invited, it isn't even like the coronation where Harry, decided that he would come and Meghan didn't come, but now apparently he can't decide to come. He wasn't invited. So, but I think their marriage is really falling apart. Because, Meghan glommed onto Harry, first of all, to be a real princess, and second of all, to use this idea that the royal family is racist as a way to boost her political ambitions in America. And that obviously didn't work. Yes, she got an award here and there when she paid for it, but that isn't working. And so, so she's realizing that she's not getting out of this what she wants. And he's realizing, his face at the coronation says it all. It was you almost had to feel sorry for him because it was a combination of depression and jealousy of William and sort of a feeling of loneliness and a realization, wait a second, I'm kind of left out here. My family isn't talking to me. They don't want to hug me or talk to me. I mean, it was a really sad kind of situation. And so, so I think Meghan is going to want, she's going to try to keep going up the scale. I don't know how you get higher than a prince, but she'll maybe a Hollywood prince, an actor, an A-list actor, something like that, something to move her, to keep her in the spotlight. And then Harry's in a really tough situation because, he loves his children. And so he'd want to be with them, especially when he had his own experience of losing his mother, so he wouldn't want his children to lose their father. And yet I think Meghan, when it falls apart, it's going to be Meghan who is the one pulling the strings, who is going to be leaving, perhaps having an affair or something.
Carole, briefly, if you can, how long do you give the marriage?
I think they'll bumble along. It's a toss-up. How long will Biden bumble along to still be able to be president versus how long will Meghan and Harry bumble along to still be married? It's a little tough to say.
Listen, Carole, always a thrill to have you on the show. Check out Dr. Carole Lieberman on YouTube, on Twitter. Always a compelling commentator. Thanks, Carole. We'll catch up soon. My thanks to Dr. Carole